Good evening, guys. This is Mark from Safety. I'm going to make this quick video for y'all so we can understand different cycles for Texas and for over the road. When I mean over the road, when we have the well site in New Mexico. First off, this is a log you should be seeing. How can you view your cycles? You go to these three little lines up here on the top right hand corner. Click on the three lines. You go to settings. Go to cycle rules. There you have your primary cycle and your secondary cycle. As you can see that your primary cycle, you're under the Texas 70-hour 7-day with a 24-hour reset. If you click on secondary, you'll see you're under the USA 70-hour 8-day, cargo type oil and gas, restart 34-hour restart with a 30-minute break, rest break required, and waiting time on fifth line. That's the way your primary and your secondary cycles should be at. For all you guys driving to New Mexico, your all's primary and secondary cycle are already set. Okay, you can either click save. Now I can go back to the three lines right here and go into logs. Now, how do I know if I'm in my primary or secondary cycle? Now, how do you know? You see this little clock right here on the right top corner? You can click on that little clock. You'll see that it opened up your primary cycle, 12-hour driving time, 15-hour shift, and 70-hour cycle. Okay? That's because I'm in my primary cycle. Now, you might ask, Mark, how am I gonna switch my cycle to secondary cycle? Because it will not switch automatically. You have to do it yourself. How do you do it? You click on today's log. Just click on the graph. You're gonna see three little dots on the top right corner. You click on those dots. You'll see there it says send, print, and cycle rule. We'll go to cycle rule. You're gonna get a window that says select the cycle rule you want to use for this day. As you can see there, right now we're under Texas 70-hour 7-day. For the guys who are gonna be working in New Mexico, this is where we need to be at. USA Oil and Gas 70-hour 8-day. So for the guys that are leaving home, going from home straight over there, you have to be in your USA Oil and Gas 70-hour 8-day before you take off from your house. If you're already up there, you just switch it off there. Okay? So everybody should be working in New Mexico should be under the USA Oil and Gas, which is a primary cycle. Once you click there, you go done. Now, Mark, how do I know if I'm in my right cycle? You can click again on your three little dots right here. Sorry. Go to cycle rule. You see there, you're in your USA Oil and Gas. Now, there's a different way we can check it as well. You know in the beginning how I clicked on the little clock right here? If I click there, as you can see there, it took me automatically to my secondary cycle. Now I have to take the 30-minute break in 8 hours, 11-hour driving time, 14 shift, and 70 hours. Now remember guys, to reset your 11 and 14, you have to have a 10-hour break. Okay, it's not 8 hours like in Texas. You have to have a 10-hour break. Now that 10-hour break, you can split them. But the only way you can split them is only 2 hours of rest. And then the next one has to be 8 hours. Or vice versa. The first has to be 8 hours. And then the next one has to be 2 hours on the split. You cannot do 5 and 5. You cannot do 6 and 4. It does not work the same as in Texas. Over the road is different. Even though you're only crossing the state line for a couple of miles, this rule applies. Okay? Now real quick guys, if you go into New Mexico, the well finishes and you're gonna end up staying in Texas, you have to stay under your secondary cycle for the next 7 days. Okay? You cannot go to your graph, three little lines up here, go to cycle rule, and change it back to Texas because you already came back to Texas. No, you have to wait for 7 days in order to go back to your Texas rule. So on your 8th day that you're in Texas, you can go ahead and change your cycle rule to your primary cycle. Okay? Other option, if you do a 34-hour reset. If you do a 34-hour reset, you can automatically go back to your Texas rule after your 34-hour reset. Okay, those are the only two options. Now just remember, anytime crossing state line, you are required to use an EOD. So for the guys that are using paper logs, you have to be using the EOD. Okay? The only ones who are exempt, if you have an engine model over of 2000 or older, you're only working for 8 days and 30 days, or your vehicle is being used as a towed. Those are only exemptions for using paper logs. For you guys that are using trucks that have an engine of 2000 or older, I'm allowing you to use a paper log. Okay? But it's the same way, same thing applies. These hours of service, the secondary cycle still applies to you. The 10-hour break for the 11 and 14 still applies to you. The 34 hours reset still applies for you. Also, if you go back to Texas, you have to use the same hours of service for the next 7 days. Until your 8th day, you can go back using the Texas hours of service. Okay? If you got any questions, feel free to contact me at any time. If I don't answer you, send me a message. Okay? Put in detail what is it that you need or what questions you have. Okay? Here's a quick video for y'all. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to call me. Thank you.